You're listening to ZoomerRadio on the Morning Zoom with Sam and Jane. We have a very special guest in studio now, the most powerful woman in the country, in charge of Canada's economic engine, leading a city of millions, and doing it with grace and grit. 1 year ago, Olivia Chow announced she was running for mayor, and last June, with more than 100 candidates on the ballot, Olivia Chow won the race. Her professional history and personal story struck a chord with Torontonians. I remember after the election reading this great description of Mayor Chow from a crisis support worker in Toronto who said Olivia Chow resonated with voters because she is the city. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow, welcome to the show.
Oh, wow. What an introduction.
Yeah, it's you. I'm so happy to have you here. And I thought that was such a wonderful description of you.
I'm blushing.
Oh, yeah. No.
Well,
thank you for that.
We're so happy to have you here at the Zoomerplex and, reflecting back on this year and how incredible it has been, not just for you, but for all of us here in the city, watching you be the mayor. How have you enjoyed this last, 10 months since you won over a field of 100 people?
I can't even describe it with words because it's so fabulous. It's that feeling of, wow, I could actually make a big difference in people's lives, in how you get to work and how smooth the road is, whether there's litter on the street.
Yeah.
Right? There's just public transit and senior services for children, childcare, nurses, because there's nothing that the city doesn't do, right?
Yeah.
To keep you life affordable, building housing, police, which is safety, and we even do mental health support if people are having a mental health crisis. So almost every aspect of your life, when you wake up in the morning, clean water. So it's just an honor and a privilege for me to be able to work with so many fabulous people. We're never alone. So we have good counselors, very experienced counselor, good civil servant, and so many ordinary Torontonians that want to contribute.
Sure. Yeah. And are you happy with the progress to date in all the ways that you are attempting to move the needle on the serious issues that you've listed? How are you feeling about progress to date?
I want to build a lot more housing because there are seniors that are on our waiting list. A third of the people on our waiting list for good, affordable housing. Now, that's 80,000 households. A third of them are seniors.
Yeah.
And we need to give them hope because the wait right now, when I first came into office, is 10 years. We haven't built good, affordable housing for several decades, right? So building more housing is my top priority because when you can't afford your rent or you're always nervous or by the time you finish paying rent, there's nothing left to go and visit your grandkids or do anything or go to a library, it's not a good place, right? So building housing takes time and supporting people that are in old rental homes, they're feeling a lot of challenges. So that piece it's a lot of work and you don't immediately see results.
Right. Yeah, of course.
But of course, better public transit is also important.
Well, speaking of results, the way in which you've dealt with both Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau is admirable, no matter which side of the political spectrum you are on. What has been your strategy? Because we all watched last year when you met with Doug Ford at Queen's Park after, he was not in favor of you becoming the mayor. But all of a sudden, it was like you won him over in an hour at Queen's Park. So what has been the approach?
He loved the city. He and I campaigned together in 2014. He lost his beloved brother, Rob Ford, so he understands the horror of cancer and the pain of losing someone too soon. I went through exactly the same experience, right? I lost my late husband. He was only 61. He died of cancer. So we connected in that way as a human being. So if he loved the city, we connected as human beings, and his way of showing love might be different. I said, well, let's do this together. How about if we upload these highways to you? He said, okay.
Here, take these.
Take these. Yeah, it's my present to you. And he said yes, which is great.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see that level of cooperation between the city, the province, and the federal government. Let's talk about your husband. Let's talk about Jack Layton. What would Jack say today about his wife being the mayor of Toronto?
Oh, go girl. Read my book on homelessness. He wrote a book, and I was with him during the entire time he was writing the book. I was helping him organize materials and all that stuff. And his book on homelessness is still so applicable because, I don't know, it's 25 years ago we declared homelessness as a national disaster, but we really haven't seriously built. And just in the last federal budget a few weeks ago, it was lots and lots of federal contribution finally on building housing, which is great. I think he would be proud of that.
Yeah. Proud of you. Period.
It's a
as a
collective
husband.
effort.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
Well, you definitely inspired each other back in the day. We all remember the two of you back in the 90s, Toronto City Council, and then your partnership in Ottawa, and the devotion you had to each other and your causes. How have you evolved since a young woman on city council in the 90s, now as mayor, as a mature woman?
The goal is still the same. I'm less dogmatic. I think I listened more. And I still work just as hard, but my experience in the House of Commons and the past experience in working with Mel Lastman, remember everybody, Mel Lastman?
Yes.
He and I worked really well together. So it's really using experience I had then, working across the aisle, meaning that you don't have to have the same ideology, because if we all want good things for children and seniors, for example, there are different ways to get there. How do we accomplish that goal together? So that's a lesson that I learned from back then and still apply it very much now.
I think one of your superpowers is your compassion. It really comes through in everything you do. Everything is personal and professional to you. And we want to talk about that when we return. But right now we're going to play one of your favorite songs, Van Morrison. Do you know what song we're going to play?
When Jack and I met, he played something about the moon, but
Moon Dance.
The Moon Dance.
Great.
Yeah. So if you play that, I'll cry. Don't do that.
Into
the Mystic. Into the Mystic.
Okay, all righty. Let's do that. Let's play Van Morrison, Into the Mystic, right now on ZoomerRadio.